Oh boy. Should do my hair one day, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna blame my hair on my daughter. We'll leave it as that. So I don't expect many people to get on, if at all. I'm just doing this to answer questions because going live on YouTube video is much easier than typing out answers individually. I just want to let you guys know that. Okay, so it takes a while to type. It's these fingers don't move like they used to. So you know, just a live video helps out. And of course, my voice is going out. I'm telling you, once I get past noon, 1 o'clock, it starts to go, especially with all the activity and tremors and stuff like that. How do I have hearts if I'm not even? Are you in my chat? My daughter likes to join my chat. Now then, so first thing I wanted to start off with, I had a few topics I wanted to talk about um, before the comments. Really, the first thing was uh, the outreach of the channel where it's going to. So, I'm not a professional YouTuber, social media personality, or anything like that. As I said in my last couple of videos, my goal is to get these videos shared more than anything else. The likes are great, subscriptions are great, subscribing anyway, but not money, but sharing is everything. And it's crazy, I've had in the last just since I started this, 30,000 unique viewers and stuff, and tens of thousands of views as well. My most popular cities that I'm reaching for this channel in English, talking about multiple system atrophy, most popular cities is number one is Mexico City, Mexico, right? The New York, Puebla, which is just east of Mexico City. We stayed there. So that's where the two volcanoes are. Seattle, Chicago, Los Angeles, Monterrey, Mexico, Guadalajara, Mexico, Dallas, and a ton of other cities all across Mexico, the United States. Like it's awesome to see that. The countries since I started, right? Mexico's number one, United States number one, then Mexico, Canada, UK, Australia, India, Germany, New Zealand, Philippines, South Africa, Malaysia, Belgium, Jamaica, Brazil, France, Indonesia, Kenya, the Netherlands, UAE, Arab Emirates, Argentina, Bahamas, Chile, Colombia, like everywhere. That's crazy. Even China, Russia, Poland, Pakistan, Peru, Turkey. There's a country that's not Turkey. It's named a different type of Turkey, right? Singapore, Nepal, Norway. So Hong Kong. So the goal is to share these things for outreach for everybody to see. I mostly get barely get more men than women to the channel. I get age groups. The biggest age groups are 18 to 24 and 25 to 34. Probably individuals that maybe their relatives or their caregivers in some type of way. So that's a guess. Then I got some knucklehead 13 to 17-year-old. 1% of my views are kids, 13 to 17, even though it's not made for kids. So I don't know how they're seeing it. I imagine probably my youngest daughter is somehow circumventing the channel here. Um, but we get them all over the place, which is really nice. So I just want to say, thank you for people sharing and liking it, things like that. That's what this is all about for me. Um, Otherwise, a couple of early topics. I got some videos to show too. Um, Pots, and you always hear about. I didn't understand that. That's Bixby for you. You always hear about orthostatic hypertension, right? Orthostatic hypertension is one of the key players. When you get up, you pass out. You sit down when you're changing the levels and stuff. That's why they do the tilt table test in the hospitals, the test for your blood pressure, orthostatic hypertension. Um, but the more you look into these things, the more you learn. Orthostatic hypertension is the least common problem, like in autonomic. The most common is something called POTS. Something I just realized a couple of weeks ago: postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. POTS, kind of like in my job we call it plain old telephone system, but this is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And I only caught that because when I had that infection that knocked me out, I noticed my blood pressure was going crazy, but also my heart rate was jumping. My heart rate was jumping from 180 going down to 90. It was 33.55 going up to 120. It was swinging. And I was paying attention to the blood pressure, which was also swinging 60, 70, 80 points, making me even more dizzy, right? But I noticed the heart rate was going, it was not that it's uncontrollable, but it was having some wild swings. Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS, is 10 to 20 times more popular, more common than orthostatic hypertension. POTS is a condition that causes your heart rate to increase very quickly after getting up from sitting or lying down. It's a cardiovascular autonomic disorder, which means that there's a change in the autonomic nervous system, which controls your heart rate. This change causes your heart to speed up when it is not supposed to, right? It's autonomic. The body controls the heart rate automatically. So again, when MSA, you don't have these issues with Parkinson's. Parkinson's does not affect autonomic. Can it? Rarely, but it doesn't in general. So when you start to see these things, right? My last couple of videos of the blue skin and cold hands and feet, your heart rate going crazy, right? Your blood pressure going crazy. These are not Parkinson's related symptoms. Yeah, there's 1% Parkinson's, but 99% no, right? And a cold hand sign is crazy. I don't know if I'd even show you my legs on camera right now, but if I did, you would see my legs are much more blue. Can't let them die. You're killing me. they're, they're more blue. And I noticed too that when I take off shirts and stuff, like my chest will not like a rash like, but blue skin rashing. Yeah, I've had stuff on my face before, but mostly it's in my feet and legs. So that again, that cold hand sign, CHS, is the autonomic system not able to control to regulating the body temperature of the extremities. That's what that is. So again, that's a cold hand sign is a part of the autonomic, and it's just another sign. It is awkward. It's ironic, right? You get so many comments from people, so many suggestions and comments and whatever, and they talk about how do you know it's MSA? Like you know your body. Yeah, I went to IU Health, and the first thing they said was MSA, and they seemed like they knew what they were talking about. Man, they were to the point. Go to the Mayo Clinic and they say early onset Parkinson's. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying, well, my autonomic symptoms are not quite established yet. I don't think they're off and on. I don't know if you can even test for them or see them right now, except on a lucky day. I know my body, right? You know your body, and sure enough, now I got at least a half a dozen autonomic issues right now. I mean, what do I have? Right? I got a failing bladder, autonomic, failing kidneys, autonomic. Um, the well, POTS, my heart rate is uncontrolled. It wildly varies. Go down in there. Orthostatic hypertension, I can show you my results right now. Right, a 1 minute difference changes 60 pressure points. Orthostatic hypertension is when you change minimum of 15, but definite at 30. And I'm doing 60-point change. Duh. Orthostatic, I'm dizzy all day, right? Vision changes, right? These are things that don't affect primarily Parkinson's. Um, Swallowing, my swallowing is getting more and more complicated. Blurred vision, a lot. I'd say 20% of the time it's blurry for no reason at all. And I change contacts all the time. These are contacts. This is not my normal color, right? The walking, the all the other things could be Parkinson's, but when you start bringing in autonomic, including the cognitive issues and stuff like that, I knew it wasn't early onset Parkinson's. On top of the fact it's moving so quickly. Right now, you might see me and say, "Oh, you sound good and look good." Yeah, I know, but I know my body; it's moving quickly. Right? I didn't know if I was going to get to my trip to Europe, my cruise in a couple of days with my family. I didn't know that. I didn't think I was, and I am. When I got to New Orleans. That was a good trial run with those crazy streets they got down there. It worked out pretty good. I mean, I hurt, and muscles hurt. I mean, it's shocking, and it sucks, right? It sucks, but I'm getting there. I'm getting through there, and my goal is to get through this trip, 2.5, 3 weeks, and then August 8th is my stem cells. Right, that's number two. Once we get to stem cells, Hopefully, we're in the home run, right? The August 8th will show me a lot of things. It'll show me a lot of things. It'll tell me how much time you got, what to expect, what not to expect. So, you know, unfortunately. Comments from at I like some of these names you guys got. That's original. I've never seen one like that. This is recent. It says, "How do you deal with the sleepiness? I can't stay awake hardly at all." Um, I'm blessed. I'm privileged. This is not where you're going. This is not politics. I am blessed to have had ADHD in my life and bipolar. But by default, ADHD, I take Adderall XR, extended release Adderall, for 30 milligrams. So, um, what helps me with the sleepiness? Adderall. I would say crack cocaine, but we shouldn't be doing drugs. But Adderall helps out a lot. Okay. Um, it gets me going, and caffeine, coffee takes care of the rest. There are many days where the Adderall does not help, right? It's off and on, kind of like my brain and stuff like that. But for the most part, Adderall still works the majority of the days. I can tell you when I was off of Adderall and my medicine while we were tracking down these tremors late last year before my MSA diagnosis, I wasn't on anything and I didn't do nothing. Talk about dragging butt. Yeah, I feel for you. Mm. Right, asking that question, I feel for you guys. Like, I mean, I feel great to have Adderall. If I didn't have Adderall, I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably be done working, sleeping, a vegetable, more or less. I mean, I'm dead serious, right? Yeah, yeah, I got family, I got kids, right? I got wife and kids and mom and stuff. Okay, but you got to have something that keeps you going, keeps you awake, keeps you, alert. And caffeine can only do so much. So I am blessed to have Adderall. All right, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I promise you that. Marina something. I see you haven't posted in a few weeks. This was a couple days ago before I started posting. By the way, Marina, if I'm saying that correctly, Marina, you're the one who got me going again, right? I want to cry for you right now. Marina, you're the one who got me posting the last couple of days again and today. I read your message, and you would be surprised with a simple comment saying, "Hey, haven't heard from you. Hope you're doing well." Right? Post again. You may not understand what you did, but you kicked me my ass to get me going again, and I appreciate that more than you know. Shit, I haven't seen you posting in a few weeks. I understand how difficult the symptoms are to deal with. I hope to hear back from you about this because you are the only person that I've heard mention the left side of his facial droop symptom. I wanted to ask if your doctors know that what it is. There's a name for it. It started with me about a year ago, and now it's happening almost daily. And it's even worse when I take my medication. Any insight advice would be appreciated. So that is what's the technical term they call that is facial masking, right? It's not facial drooping, but that's what us peasants call it, right? You and I. But facial masking. That's when you, if you, I can send you the video where which is much more detailed about it. But facial masking is like some people with MSA, they blurt out uncontrollably laughing, like for no reason, and they'll start crying for no reason. I mean, like drastic mood changes, spontaneous, like you think that they're going crazy, but they're not. It's that brain misfiring without that dopamine, right? Those nerve endings, the glial cells that are no longer saying, "Hey, don't do this or do this." It's that frontal lobes that control these actions. The only reason why I'm not laughing and crying right now is because I still have mostly control of my frontal lobes to say, "Hey, now is not the time to cry," especially spontaneously. So when you start losing these nerve endings, especially in the facial area, right? Most of the things we think about are the neck down, right? Tremors, shaking, spasms, sweating, mostly neck down. But you lose these glial cells in your brain too. So when it's above the neck, facial masking, you will have people that cannot make an expression. I mean, they're looking. They look sad. They look like they just lost their whole family in an accident. I mean, they look no emotion. the facial drooping, you'll tend to see more gravity. I saw a lot of pictures and videos of that stuff, of the facial masking, but that's what that is. They can't make expressions. It's impossible. They've lost that ability. So they call it facial masking. I'm sure there's a more technical term for it. If you want that video, I'll try to remember to post this for you. Um, but you can't stop that, right? These are just like you lose your walking ability, and you know, some people lose their spatial orientation, like touching certain things, right? Whatever you want to say, they lose it. Um, the facial masking is the same thing. So again, everything happens to everybody in different parts, different mechanisms, right? My stuff started with walking, right, and then moved its way around the whole body. Can you do a video on tremors? This is from at Junie or June New York 211. I think we'll say Junie 211. Yeah. Matter of fact, I thought about you this morning. Now I have ugly toes. You cannot laugh at my ugly toes. But I did. I was watching my TV today, and I was showing some. Can I actually show video here? Probably not. Let think about that. Wait, let's see here. Pop out dashboard. Yeah, probably can't. And think about that. Engage with your audience. Start a poll, Q&A. Well, the good news is, yes, I can show you. The bad news is I don't know how to do it on the live stream, if that's even possible. So, got this dashboard real quick. Nope, can't. Okay, well, I can show you. Um, Here, I'll show you. I'll move my webcam. I got nothing special to hide here. Let me move some stuff over here. And I'll just tilt my webcam, call it a day. I got a whole bunch of stuff over here, so don't laugh too much at my disorganization. I don't know if it's even gonna work with a webcam, but hey, for you guys, why not? Why not? Look at this. Yeah, I got some good stuff. That might be enough. We'll see. All right, so here goes just a little video about my tremors, my hands. Right, this is this morning, right before work. Shaking really good, right? That's what tremors do for you, especially when they're uncontrollable. And then I had some other ones with my feet. So these are my toes. These are, I'll explain this after a second, but these are tremors, right? Seem pretty straightforward, more straightforward from side view. Just trying to curl my toes, right? Flickering pretty good. And then the other one, flickering really fast, right? Tremors, kids laugh in the background. So, the tremors on the feet, um, you got to understand what you're looking at, though, when you ask for tremors on the toes. Um, Tremors that most of us have, like Parkinson's, mostly they have both, but they mostly have resting tremor. I'm sitting here, my hand, and it's going for no reason. I can't stop it. That's mostly Parkinson's. MSA has mostly action tremors, which means against gravity. So if there's one part of the body you're not going to feel the tremors as much, it's actually your feet and legs. Why? Because my feet and legs are on the ground most of the time, and yours are too. Okay, so um, do I have issues with my tremors on my toes and hands, or my toes and feet and legs? I don't notice them that much, not as much as my hands, because my hands are always in the air. They're always doing something. My arms in the air, my body's in the air, my torso's in the air. I feel my tremors more internally than exteriorly, right? Those aren't the medical terms, but mine feels like my core of my body is shaking, right? And as it gets towards the extremities, the edge of my hands and feet, it tends to get less and less. Of course, if I'm going against gravity, then it definitely gets a lot more, right? When I start to pressure, or like you saw me curling my feet and stuff like that. So, you know, toe tremors I don't really worry about. I will say though, before or after that infection a couple of weeks ago, um, I had the worst cramping on my feet. I mean, I get cramps like every hour, which you learn to ignore these things. But um, my arches of my feet, my all my feet, but my toes, like if I'm holding something and trying to put my hand out, right, and I don't know how to explain this, but you ever know when you everyone with cell phones nowadays, you're holding your cell phones, you're kind of everyone holds them kind of weird, and your hand, your finger down here comes out, and sometimes you can't move it right, you can't get it straight. Um, my left hand really is like these last two fingers start to lock up where I got to, I can't bend them and I got to come over here and like, whoop, and break the finger so it can fold again. My toes starting to, my left toes started, left and right. I think my left toes started doing that 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. Right. And again, that was when the infection was really wreaking havoc on me. It was pretty bad. So it's kind of weird how now the feet are catching up with that type of the hands can't, the fingers are getting locked and stuff like that. So, but I don't have issues with toe tremors. I don't care about those. They don't affect me except if I'm sick with an infection and they hurt like hell. Like, okay, that's a whole other story, right? So I will post a video, these videos on YouTube for you with your, I'll shout you out, mention you under, so I posted them for you. Kevin Summers 2541. Has the diagnosis been changed for MSA because of what Mayo told you, or is it still MSA? I can't get anyone to tell me if it's PD or MSA. You know, unless you're trying to get clinical trials, you probably shouldn't get a diagnosis. I'm not saying get treatment, but having a diagnosis puts you in a corner medically. I mean, I'm talking about insurances, life insurances. It does a lot of things against you, but it also helps you when you know you're going to die. So, let's be honest, okay? Having MSA is going to help, and Parkinson's will help get you Social Security benefits, right, and stuff like that. But disability, but it's going to take a lot of things away from your life, just because you have this diagnosis. Um, no, I have two diagnoses right now: MSA and early onset Parkinson's. Uh, my mother found we went. I had her come to an appointment with me up here when she was visiting, and she went to a doctor's appointment. And my MSA doctor, my movement disorder doctor that has a MSA, her mother has MSA, recommended going to like UPenn, University of Pennsylvania stuff because they have a really good, the better movement, movement, movement behavior disorder specialist. I'm literally losing my mind here. They have better research over there, so she recommended me to go there for a third opinion. But she was flat out. She says, "Do you need?" I said, "Do I need one? To break the stalemate?" She says, "No. You're still going to be treated the same. But if you're looking for um, clinical trials, then yeah, you would need a third opinion. I would need a third opinion to break the cycle, right? So no, I mean we know it's MSA, no matter what Mayo said. Again, I'm not going to try to trash Mayo completely on this video, but when you give someone a diagnosis less than half, one third through the test, all right, and then the other test that you jumped the gun on actually could come back and say, yeah, his kidneys and bladders failing. Come on, man, it's autonomic. Like, stop. It is. I don't know why Mayo did what they did. I don't know why that doctor jumped the gun on his diagnosis. But if I could put my finger in his face and say, "Ha ha, I told you so," I would in a heartbeat. And it takes a lot of restraint for me to post videos specifically about that doctor. It does. So I don't think that doctor represents Mayo as in holistically, right? I just think I honestly think he had a preconceived, judgment that I knew everything or something, and I'm right, you're wrong. So that's what I think happened. So no, it's MSA. Of the six autonomic issues I have right now, you don't get autonomic in Parkinson's. Therefore, it's MSA, right? Medically, 1 and 1. So after the trip and my stem cells, I'll try to get that a third opinion as soon as I can. But you know, if the stem cells work, I don't need a third opinion. If they help, I don't need a third opinion. If they don't help, yeah, I got to do something, right? As much as possible. Kevin Summers again says I had a so he had a comment before. He says, He had a normal DAT scan, but I have all the symptoms of msa-p, Parkinson's type. This is what is causing such an issue getting a diagnosis. Your story is so close to mine. Now I don't know what to do. I've heard that you can have Parkinson's and Parkinson's plus with a normal DAT scan. Yeah, these DAT scans and these other tests are not 100%. Right? I said on my video, I said DAT scan is a silver bullet. Yeah, if it can see the problem, but these tests, there's no 100% test. I mean, you may have had an abnormal DAT scan, but the medicine or the test at the time messed up. That's a problem, right? You're in the same boat I am. I got these tests early. I wanted to know what it was as soon as possible to knock this down because I could tell my body was dying and shutting down. I can tell. I don't need anyone to tell me that. The test helped confirm it, but I knew better. And again, I don't know how old you are and stuff like that, but if you're earlier into the symptoms like I was less than 2 years into it when I got these tests done. And Dr. Mayo says, admittingly so, I'll quote it for you. He says, admittingly so, we might be too early to see the autonomic. And we were too early to see the autonomic. And my local neurologist simply said, you may have to, you got to wait for this to get worse in order to go back and redo the test to see the autonomic. And you've got to get like 3 years, she said. That's really what's happening, right? 3 years will be coming up in February next year. Um, Plus, with a normal DAT scan, I have every symptom that you have. I also have hyperreflexes, gastrointestinal issues. I yell in my sleep and do things I don't remember. I don't know what to do or try to get diagnosed. Therefore, although a negative, the second comment separately was, although therefore a negative DAT scan excludes the diagnosis of PD, it does not include other atypical Parkinson's. That's right. There's many Parkinson's plus diseases out there that are deadly. PSP. There's a whole bunch of them. I put a top 10 list on one of my shorts. I think there's many that that scan looks for, but it could be 1 to 10, right? They know that based on what part of the brain is not working, it's probably MSA or Parkinson's. And then if a different part of the body's not working, they know it can't be else. It's probably PSP or whatever, right? Uh, Lewy body dementia, stuff like that. That they can narrow down with a DAT scan, but they can't be definitive. That's they can give you two choices, but they can't give you one. Even though this possibility is many, rare, here is the article negative. Here is the article negative DAT scan, but still having Parkinson's plus symptoms. Yeah. Again, without knowing how old you are and how far your symptoms are, how long you've had symptoms and which ones came first or whatever. I hate to say this, but you're you're halfway when you're worse than what I am as far as diagnosing. Unfortunately, things have to get worse, right? I mean, my doctor in Mayo was scanning my brain and stem and all that. He's like, "Well, we're looking for atrophy, shrinking of the brain stems and parts of the brain stuff," and it wasn't there. Right? I guarantee you, if I go in a couple months, oh yeah, you'll see some atrophy. You'll see it. How pain hurts, shocking pain. It hurts right here for the first time. Not my carpal tunnel, but now here. I've had some weird shocking pains lately. It's been a pain in my ass. I can tell you. I've had way more shocking and weirder positions. So and that's the problem. I mean, the best you can do is ask for the doctors. I'm not giving medical advice, right? But kind of like my neuropsychology visit, the best we can do is say, hey, let's repeat it in a year, which means you need to wait. So if you can't see what it is, waiting, the symptoms will come out, right? The other symptoms, you're more autonomic. You say you're just like me and I'm just like you, very similar. Then, once the autonomic happens and you can prove autonomic, we already know what it is. Again, there are many diseases that will mimic MSA. There's, autonomic that is not MSA or Parkinson's. There's a lot of things that don't help, right? And then we got people that are hypochondriacs and, oh my God, I'm blood, like I'm dying. It's just, there's a lot of things that don't help. People with anxiety disorders could explain tremors and stuff like that. Bad diets could explain the blood pressure. There's a lot of things that could explain a lot of this stuff. But, you know, I would like for you to at least, let me know how long you've had the symptoms, right? But I'm 2 years since February, 2 years and it's July, right? So 2 years and 5 months, 2.5 years. And in order for maybe the MRIs to see atrophy and other things like that, I guarantee 2.5 to 3 years would be my mark to go back and say, hey, let's do some more tests. So I guess what it comes down to, like, if you have REM, RBD, right, REM behavior disorder, you're talking in your sleep. Look, get a camera, get get a Google camera, right? That'll tell you if you know what you're talking about. I'm not saying you're not, right? I'm just that will tell you what you're doing. I downloaded a video last night, right? I downloaded a video from my Google last night. I'm gonna show this quickly because I don't want to show messy bedroom is coming from New Orleans, right? But that's me, and this is what happens when you got your RBD. It's you got a camera on you. I do. My play button. Getting up to do something, talking, right? Hand movement. You're not supposed to act anything out, right? On top of punching and everything else, throwing haymakers at the wife. But do you really have RBD? Right? That's the question. Spouses and kids, people can say things, but do you really? Right? Get a cheap camera, old phone, live stream it on somewhere on YouTube, whatever. Um, but that's how you know if you have RBD, REM behavior disorder. You have either Parkinson's or MSA, right? So now, what di- what differentiates MSA from Parkinson's? Autonomic. So my question to you is, what tests of autonomic are you doing or getting or going to get that's going to test autonomic? And unfortunately, you might be like me, where most of my tests came back good, except at the tail end of it, where my bladder and kidneys failed. Right. So it's a timing thing. But what test are you getting with autonomic? In all honesty, right? If you don't have any autonomic testing, then we're just making things up right now, right? We're guessing, not making things up. That's not what I mean. But we're guessing at what we have. Only way to know what you got is autonomic. Is testing for autonomic. If you got it, negative test, then a bad test, and oh yeah, it's MSA. Parkinson's does not mess with it with autonomic. They don't. People with Parkinson's die from tripping and falling mostly, or old age. So autonomic, that's how we die with MSA. Have you found this is at again? I love that name. Have you found anything that helps with finger tremors? Finger tremors. Have you thought about clinical trials? You the refresh rate on this probably won't let you see the tremors, but I showed you the video earlier, right? I showed you. I showed my phone once. I can show my phone twice, right? I showed you the video of my fingers tremors, but this is like the whole hand, wrist, fingers. This is everything, right? That's what that is. But again, you were saying tremors, and that's what we do call them. But those tremors are much more exaggerated because it's against gravity, right? My wrists, hands, and arms are on the keyboard, on the desk. Ha- Hands are elevated to keyboard, things like that. So, what helps with that? Nothing. I take that back. God, I don't want to say this on YouTube, but I said it on on my channels before. I don't want to repeat this like I'm a drunk. I only know two things that help, and it's because these are two things that I used to use or use on a daily basis: Xanax or liquor. Takes less liquor than beer to help out, right? Get not tipsy, but a beer or two tops. One beer helps. A shot helps. It slows me down, and I mean that from my heart. Drinking a shot of liquor or two or whatever slows me down. Now, there's consequences with that. It slows my talking down too, right? I started with msa-p, and now it's migrating more towards msa-c, right? The cognitive, the slurring of speech, the memory issues, right? Not connecting A and B, Spatial disorientation. It is clearly moving, dividing itself over to more to MSAC than MSAP for myself. What is MSAC? It's where cerebellar. When you don't produce a dopamine, you get cerebellar toxin, basically being drunk without being drunk. So my walking, talking, slurring out cognitive brain stuff is more of a drunk person now than it was when it started 2.5 years ago. So even though liquor does help, Xanax takes a while to get out your body. For me, it takes about 12 solid hours, 12 days, sorry, 12 solid hours to get out my body, right? Where I don't really feel it. Liquor, short lived. For me, it is. I can drink and I can drink a whole bottle. Nothing's going to happen. So the best of two evils for me is liquor. And I will have a shot or two at nighttime or a beer or whatever. When I know I'm not going back out, I don't have to give speeches and speak on Zoom all day. I'll have a drink. I sure will. Even 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I'm not working, I will. I need it to slow me down. But the byproduct is I become more drunk. I'm drunk because of my disease. The msa-c part of it. Liquor doesn't help that. It makes it worse. I'm at home. I'm not driving. Doesn't matter, right? But it makes me feel better. It helps me not shake as much. Um, it suppresses a lot of the spasms, a lot of the tremors that you just saw. It does suppress those, right? But understanding what I'm saying after I take a shot or two, that's a whole other story. So, how do you deal with it? That's how I deal with it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It works wonders. It does. I've tried everything up and down all the medications I have, right? I've increased my gabapentin, quintipentin, Seroquel, as Xanax, Vicodin, everything I have, like Tylenol, codeine, Tylenol, 800 milligram Motrin, anything I have, I upped it. Not abusing, just upped it as something that can make me, not high, but, sleepy, somebody calm me down. And only thing there's a bad side effects once you start taking a lot of medicine. So, in my opinion, personally, I'd rather not take so much medicine. I'd rather deal with the pain and issues and whatever than start taking all this medication that's doing all this weird stuff because I did that. I've taken medication my whole life for injuries, right? And been sick, right? So when we thought this was rheumatoid arthritis, I was on methotrexate, a low key leukemia drug, and it did horrible things to my body that I don't even tell my kids about. I won't even tell you guys the bad things it did. I'll leave you a note. It's horrible. I would never do that again. I'm talking blood from places you shouldn't have. The source. It was bad. And those side effects just to knock down what we thought was rheumatoid arthritis. No, I'll pass. I'll deal with the pain and the swelling and shit like that. I will. I don't need that. So it was a bad start with medicine with this RA, rheumatoid arthritis, what we thought it was. I don't want things that are going to do crazy things to me. I don't need anything that's going to ruin my bladder and bowel movements and sweating and my bladder medicine is dry mouth. Okay, I'm not there yet. If I get another infection, I'll start taking it. But right now, it's not bad enough. I can still make it to the bathroom for the most part on time. I have my issues just like anyone else does. Um, so we all have our cost benefit, of do the benefits outweigh the cost with these medicines? And right now, they don't for me. Remember though, if you truly have MSA, and for all of you, nothing's gonna stop it, slow it down. For the only thing that's gonna help you are clinicals or maybe stem cells. So like the question you really have to start asking yourself, like I asked myself, is how do I want to live the rest of my life? That's what it comes down to. Do I want to be drugged up? My father was that way. My father had a very bad disorder. Nerve damage spread to his whole body. He took probably 67 pills a day, had morphine patches, and he had codeine, everything. And I saw him for 12, 14 years until he passed the 99 in front of me, right, in my hands. And I don't like medicine like that. I broke my back, legs, knee. I was selling medicine, biking it in high school because I didn't want to take it. What am I going to do with it? Sell it? Yeah, I know that's wrong. That's not the point. But I'm not going to get drugged up for anything. If like my friend, my family, Malena in Mexico, that had pancreatic cancer that had to get chemo. Okay, that's a different story. You have to have chemo to knock out pancreatic cancer. You had no choice. No medicine is going to help me. It's going to help alleviate the symptoms, but it's not going to stop the MSA. And this may sound kind of weird to you, but if I can feel the pain, I can cope with it. I can. You have surgeries and break something. You go to hospital surgery and they let you out. You oxycodone, and post surgical drugs or whatever. And once the medicine stops, or morphine, it hurts like hell. I can deal with the pain. I'm not you, and you're not me. I got the pain. I got that part. I might scream at night several times. Like my wife says, screaming of pain. Screaming of pain. I didn't believe her until I saw videos and other people told me, like, yeah, you wake up out of your sleep screaming of pain, holding your head, your hands, your arms. That's in my sleep though. But I got this in my personal life, right? In my life of being awake, I got the pain. I can get to the bathroom. I'm ambulatory. I can walk. I can get there. I mowed the grass today for the most part. Mowed it pretty well. I got it right. When I can't control myself, I'll take the medicine. Right. I mean that's what it comes down to. So again, yeah, everybody has their own choices how they want to do these things. So finger tremors, no, there's nothing to slow those down. I mean, even the pain shocks they give you gabapentin and all these other anti neuropathy drugs. They haven't helped me yet. So it's a different type of pain, and it's a pain that isn't really studied much in MSA. So they're giving you pain based on nerve damage. You have nerve issues, end of the line nerve issues, neuropathy. Mine originates from the brain. What medicine do you give for that? My PCP, when I got that infection, he gave me Vicodin. That's the first time I asked the doctor for pain pills since outside of surgeries, which I never asked for pain pills, even after surgeries. And after some surgeries, I gave back to post-surgical drugs and said, "Here, just can you dial this down and give me Tylenol codeine or Vicodin instead of the oxycodone, whatever?" Because post-surgicals are much stronger. I don't ask for pain meds. I never have. And this is the first time in my adult life I think I've ever asked for pain meds. It was that bad with that infection. There goes the shock right there. Thank God these shocking pains are only a second or two. Thank goodness these things are only a second or two. I can deal with a second or two. If it was nonstop, that's another story. So, you know, does anything help it? Liquor. There's the last one I want to read is from Nancy. She posted on my comment. I don't think it's private, so I will read it just because she posted it here, but it's a paragraph. She says, my dad died from MSA in 2021. Apologies for that. He started falling when he was around 80, eventually fell daily, had slurred speech which would vary throughout the day. You could understand him sometimes, other times you could not understand a word he said. Eventually he would have episodes where his eyes couldn't focus. He, I know what you mean on that one. That's been coming up the last few months. And they would go all over the place. He suffered with nausea, vomiting, getting gastric paresis, maybe paralysis, the last several years of his life, and had to take medications to move any food along. He eventually fell a year and a half prior to his death and no longer was able to stand or walk. I am a registered nurse. Good for you. And had him and my blind mother move in with me. That's, you know, to take care of your parents. That says a lot about somebody. I'm not even joking about that. My dad was totally bedridden for the next year and a half. Most of the time, he was alert and pretty oriented. I think he didn't totally comprehend what was happening to him and how long it was going on for. He enjoyed watching TV and the birds out of his window. After the fall, when he was bedridden, he also had to be given enemas every day. Constipation is horrible, and bacteria infections from not clearing out. That's true. If you can't void properly, you're going to get these infections. Like that's my bladder, that's my kidney. This was that happened to me. Um, I had minimal help, but my brother and sister always helped when they could. That's good. Eventually, the last 6 weeks of his life went to a good nursing home, and he was made hospice and could receive morphine. Morphine's that's the key. I was blessed to have my father living with me, care for him, and pray with him. My dad was 92 when he died, so he started falling around 1980 and died at 90, passed away at 92. There are people that live 10 plus years with it, right? It just depends. He was 92 when he died. I began to have MSA symptoms approximately a year before he died. It is rare, and my neurologist said that he still doesn't want to label me, but I've been going his route. Good. Don't when you know it's MSA, it's time for a diagnosis. If you can fight off that diagnosis and still be normal, it doesn't not having that diagnosis in your medical file goes a long way. But when you need a diagnosis for clinicals and other treatments, it doesn't help you to not have it. It's the catch 22. Yes, you can get MSA hereditary from your parents, from your family, your gene line. Yes, you can. It's more common in Parkinson's. If you have Parkinson's, your kids are probably going to have it. Does get passed down much more, easily in Parkinson's. But I think I read 5% of patients are have MSA passed down. So you know, stick to your gut. That's for damn sure. Stick to your gut. I walk with a walker when out. Furniture surf when walking. Sounds like me in New Orleans. I'm going to use that from now. Never knew that. Whatever. I don't. I'm 43 and still I'm ambulatory. So furniture surfing is a new word for me. I'm going to use that. That's great. Furniture surfing when walking. Have neuropathy, the shooting pains, nerve pain. Tremors most of the time in my legs, internal and external legs. Right, internally. That's what I have really. Is this external that makes everything shake. I've had MRIs, which depends on what type of MRI it is, how the quality of the machine. I've learned that from all my surgeries from my whole life. You got bad MRIs at some cheap hospitals, they're not going to see nothing. A DAT scan that was positive for Parkinson's. A positive DAT scan cannot tell you if it's Parkinson's or MSA. A positive DAT scan cannot tell you if it's Parkinson's or MSA. So somebody must have told you, I imagine the medical field, that your positive DAT scan means you have Parkinson's. That's not true. It's not. You go read it. Go. I will quote you 20 articles if you chat me. If you message me, I will send you the articles that says it cannot. That they're can't speak. That's what MSA does. It cannot differentiate between Parkinson's and MSA and other diseases like dementia with Lewy bodies, PCP, right? Things like that. Now we can knock out those other ones because these PCP and dementia Lewy bodies are very specific diseases that you don't get most of the symptoms of MSA or Parkinson's with these other 6 or 7 diseases. So it's easy to knock those out. A positive DAT scan cannot tell you if it's Parkinson's or MSA. It only tells you if your uh, s- nucleus caudate with your putamen, in my case, my putamen, or your front part of it is producing dopamine or not. In both Parkinson's and MSA, we stop producing dopamine. So whoever told you that, they need to reread what a positive DAT scan does for you. Okay. But my neurologist says it's an atypical Parkinson's like my dad's. Atypical just means it's you have more symptoms than typical Parkinson's, right? Normally they'll say it's Parkinson's plus. You have Parkinsonisms, right? You have Parkinson's, but then you have Parkinsonism. You have these Parkinson's plus. You have these extra conditions and symptoms to deal with Parkinson's, right? So yes, you can get MSA hereditary. Very rare, but yes, you can, right? Um, no, a DAT scan cannot tell you the difference between Parkinson's and MSA, right? That's where the clinical, somebody looking at you and these other autonomic symptoms, that's going to start to tell the story, okay? And how quick it is. If it moves quickly, it's MSA. Parkinson's does not move quickly. Parkinson's takes a decade, 15 years, 20 years. Most people in Parkinson's aren't even in walkers and wheelchairs until way after 10 years. Most people with Parkinson's get it when they're older. I'm not taking shots at old people, but most Parkinson's get it when they're older. So that's why they get to these wheelchairs and a bedroom pretty quickly. That's the ultimate reason. They're already old and frail, and Parkinson's is not helping to balance the coordination. So somebody like myself, and I'm not sure how old you are, but right, but that's it's completely different. If it's moving quickly, it's MSA, but that DAT scan can't tell you the difference between the two. MSA is not supposed to be genetic. Well, yes, it is. It's rare, but the NIH.gov and stuff, they 5% is hereditary. So I know you're saying that, but there's always I don't believe in aliens, but there's a possibility. I don't know if there are any, but when I see one, I'll let you know. MSA is not supposed to be genetic, but it looks like mine is. Didn't mean to get so wordy, but I always like to know other stories. God bless you for putting your story out there. Don't get stuck on. I'm telling you, you see a doctor, they say this. You see another one, they say that. I saw a doctor at Mayo who's stuck in the 1980s and 90s with the old status, the old clinical features and onsets that has now been dismissed and rewritten. Right? You see my lips are twitching. Those are tremors for you. um, so yeah, the lower part of that comment, the story was, I'm not going to say it's not true, but a DAT scan cannot tell you the difference between PD, Parkinson's, and MSA. And yes, MSA is hereditary, but it's not common. Um, right, orthostatic hypotension is more common in um, both Parkinson's and MSA. But then when you have postural, or we talked about postural orthostatic tachycardia with the heart, MSA is heart autonomic, completely different, completely different. So unfortunately, what has to happen, and kind of like the first person I was speaking about his comments, unfortunately, something has to happen to get the MSA diagnosis other than Parkinson's. And usually what that means is autonomic. Parkinson's does not affect autonomic, right? I mean, that's the difference. MSA used to be called MSA autonomic. There's actually three types of MSA: Parkinsonism, cerebellar, and msa-a autonomic. Some people only display with autonomic symptoms first and foremost, and that's it. And that's bad. You think I think my stuff's bad? Yeah. When you start with autonomic, you're dying quickly. That's not good, right? So there's actually three types in today's world, but two are predominant: msa-p and msa-c. So you know, I didn't hear you. I didn't read anything about you having autonomic issues, right? They start neurosis, for instance, right? Neuropathy is not autonomic. Balance and coordination. Yeah, dopamine controls a lot of stuff, but that's not necessarily autonomic. Okay. Um, Still can be explained by the dopamine loss. I mean, the legs and external legs of tremor is positive, right? There's nothing there that says. I mean, of course, you're probably summarizing too, so I'm not going to yell at you, but there's nothing really autonomic that separates it from Parkinson's. So now I have no clue if you can get Parkinson's hereditary from MSA or MSA hereditary from Parkinson's. Like your dad had Parkinson's and you get MSA, or he had MSA, you get Parkinson's. That's interesting to see because they both affect generally the same areas, different parts of the brain cells. So I feel for you. That's I never knew about the furniture surfing, and I do that too. When my mom was here last time, a few months ago, I was wall surfing at IKEA. I didn't realize I needed a wall surf. You know, holding that hand there to keep from going. Tony, do you have vision problems? I do now. Eye pain, blurry. Yeah. Thanks for the question, by the way. I do. My vision problems are probably my most recent. And I've noticed this before. I'll be weird things. You notice you do weird things the more you actually start to pay attention. But one thing I noticed I was doing a lot more of, my phone. I got big phones, right? We got gigantic phones, biggest TV in the world upstairs. And these are 30 something inch 4K monitors. They're gigantic, but I catch myself going like this, like damn near cross-eyed. And I catch myself like, why am I putting the phone so close to my face? I've never done this before, but the last couple of months, um, I'm not going to overestimate. I don't exaggerate, but I would probably say 20% of my vision of the time I'm looking, not sleeping, is blurry, unfocused. Depth perception's iffy. Um, I do get eye pain, like I've been awake for 3 days. My eyes, that type of like exhausted eyes. But I also get that neuropathy that we talk about, that shocking pains that I talk about. Last week in New Orleans, it shocked the shit out of my left eye. I mean, my eyeball, inside of my eyeball. I mean, I looked at my wife. I said, "God, I was cussing this like that hurts." When it hits a new part of the body, it hurts like hell, and sensitive parts of the body. My eye was shocked to crap. Now I think that's the brain falling apart, as my doctor says. But um, my eyes always feel tired and sore, and I don't rub my eyes. I got contacts. I'm very healthy eyes. I mean, I got correct vision, but not nothing like that. So more of a dull pain for my eyes than anything. I do get shocking around my eyes and in my eyeballs from that shocking stuff I talk about, not random shocking pain. And yeah, my eyes do get no, they are getting more and more blurry. When my daughter came up earlier, asked questions about downloading some videos. I was going like this on my phone back. I could not focus on my phone because I was checking some comments and stuff, like having an agenda. So yeah, it's creeping up there. Is it enough to mess with me to stop working and living and driving? No. Once you have contacts and you lose the contact, you learn how to drive home without contacts. That you do pretty good when things are blurry. But yeah, vision problems are my honestly are my newest symptom that I have, and I'm letting it go for a while until I try to separate. Is it really a vision problem, or is it just me doing some weird things, right? But I'm telling because I got to be careful what I say because I keep catching myself on my phone like this. If you're watching a phone like this the whole day, that close, oh yeah, your eyes are gonna get blurry. You have headaches and stuff. So I gotta be cautious about saying I definitely have vision problems. But yeah, they do get blurry. They hurt. They feel sore all day long, practically. Um, and I think I've had it for about 2 months. So I do think that's the beginning of the vision problems for sure. Right. Good question though. I mean, but new symptoms, you know, my walking is much more worse. That's probably a double negative. Walking is getting immaculately crazy. Um, my feet were giving out earlier. The not being able to keep my foot straight when I'm walking. Now my feet are turning to the side, like 90 degrees to the side, 180 degrees. Kind of weird when that stuff happens. I'm mowing the grass today, and thank God I can hold on to a lawnmower and turn the corners. Um, but there's just some things the hands I can't lift as much weight as I used to. I'm really incredibly weak. Um, Squatting down, bending down, showers, baths, and stuff like that. Every time I look down, I'm dizzy. I look up, I get dizzy. I just got dizzy looking up. Anytime I go down and come back up, I'm dizzy. It's just progressing, right? And I will say with the shocking pains, I've noticed, like when I was in New Orleans last week, the more I'm occupied and busy, the less I notice these shocking pains. But when I'm resting and go to bed or sit down for a while or get back home, and we're not like stimulated by New Orleans or whatever, it hurts like hell. Like you start to notice these things a lot more. So you know, out of mind, out of sight is a thing. And it does seem to work for me. So um, I definitely try to keep busy and doing things, whatever it is, call it games or walking or whatever. But the moment you let it affect you, it does for sure. Speech is crazy. My swallowing is getting worse. I'm choking a lot more. I'm coughing a lot more. I woke up last night coughing to death just because I can't swallow properly. It's not like I'm dying though. I can still eat, chew, swallow, but the actual swallowing part, probably one out of every 10 or 20 swallows is not happening, right? I mean, I could sit there for a while trying to swallow, 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 like 10 times in a row. It's not working. It's not going anywhere. So I do see that as a feature that's coming up. Gastrointestinal. That's what it's part of the GI doctor I need to go see when I get back from vacation. Matter of fact, I think Mayo Clinic and the stem cells are the same day. So I'm glad we talked about that, so I can redo it. Urination and urinating and bowel movements are constant. They're still the same. Not bad, but things happen. Trying to go to the bathroom as a man is interesting because if you got tremors from trying to unzip your pants and get underwear and stuff, it's not fun. It's not easy, right? Trying to tuck in your shirt is not easy. Trying to go to the bathroom is easy. Your stream's going like this because you're shaking, right? So um, I do have to spend a lot more time going to the bathroom, no matter what it is, one or two, just because I know I can't void properly, right? And I'm okay with that. I mean, I know what I have to do, so I do it. But I will say my uncontrollable heart rate. Matter of fact, I pulled it up because I was going to show. Of course, it's on my phone. I don't know how I could quite show you guys, but I do have a smart blood pressure monitor cuff, and just this is just in just a few minutes. The very top. I'm going to show it to you, but just a drastic swing, just in blood pressure. Uh, basically from 819 to 823. I got a blood pressure that's can't probably see it too well. And its course is backwards on here. You imagine that. But I on one of them I got 157, 144, 128. Then I'm up to 169, 164, 135. Right. But the lower number doesn't really swing that much, but having a 50, 60 blood blood pressure point swing is that's not normal, right? As I get dizzy again. Um, dizziness could be from division too, but if your blood pressure changes more than 15, it's probable. If your blood pressure changes more than 30, yeah, orthostatic hypertension. But I'd have to click on these one by one. I had within a couple of minutes, my heart rate was at 54, and then it's all the way up to 190. That's crazy, right? When I had that infection, while I was doing my blood pressure, it takes the heart rate too, smartwatch and stuff like that. You should not have swings that high, right? I mean, from sitting to standing, my heart rate would change 60, 70 beats just standing up and just sitting down. That's what's got me thinking about the POTS, the POTS, the postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. That's literally autonomic, where your brain is not controlling your heart properly, which that had me crying a little bit when I first reading about them. Oh, great! What else can we tell you? Let's see. We got bowel movement issues, gastrointestinal, urinary, walking, vision, swallowing, mental, cognitive, right? Shaking, and oh, by the way, let's throw in the heart, kidneys, bladder, right? But let's throw in the heart. So whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, I can't stop anything. So they if you read about the POTS, postural orthostatic car- tachycardia syndrome, they have no idea why it's doing it. They can't stop it. It's not very well studied. Which is the problem with MSA. Not anything, nothing, hardly anything with MSA is very well studied. So what are you gonna do? But that one thing, I had a video yesterday, I think yesterday, about the purple skin and stuff. Hands, and my hands are always cold. My feet are always cold. But now legs down, kneecaps down, always, almost always purple, purple. Um, you know, that is literally, body can't control it. But when you have that, they went back, they did all these studies for it, 2017, 2016, 2019, 21. I was reading all the studies, right, NIH website. And at first they thought it was insignificant. It's an issue, but it was insignificant. Because you always hear on MSA, temperature, sunlight. Keep cool. Don't get hot. You always see these things. I had a video about how with MSA, your body temperature can be off by more than 1 degree. So you're actually sick, but your temperature is normal. Or you can have 103 degrees fever. It's actually 104. MSA throws off your temperature by at least a degree. And when I was reading about the purple skin, the cold hand sign, not syndrome, the cold hand sign, when they went back on these studies and they actually inputted the data, they followed people with MSA who were less than 3 years in, less than 3 years the symptoms onset, so relatively healthy for the most part. Moves quicker with MSA. Yes, that's the problem. And once they went back in and put in genetics and male, female, age, race, and things like that, they realized that everyone who had the cold hand sign, the purple limbs, had like almost half the lifespan of the regular MSA people. Half, half the lifespan. Most people are bedridden, can't walk by 3 to 5 years. Let's call it four, and dead within 6 or 7 maximum. Now, there are some that there's very few that get past the double digits. Very few. I think less than 7, 8% live past 10 years. Cool. But if you the general length of MSA, your life is 5 to 7 years, and you cut that puppy in half because of um, the purple I can't remember anymore, the purple skin, the cold hand sign. What are you gonna do? The body can't regulate itself. What are you gonna do? I went out on a boat trip in Wisconsin for one of our friends' birthday, my wife and I. I didn't touch the sun. I had my legs covered the entire time with a blanket. No sunlight at all. And they were still purple, which means the body is starting to fail to regulate. They don't know how to fix it. If you read the studies, they don't know how to solve that. Like a lot of things with MSA, autonomic, they don't know how to stop it. They can make it less worse or whatever. Do your toe. I'm doing it right now. I'm doing toe curls, right? Pump the blood and stuff, but they can't treat it. They have no way to stop it. So there's a lot of things bad about this MSA, and like I said in the beginning of the video, just the outreach I've had with my channel, right? Again, I'm not a professional. I still work. I have family, wife, kids. I try to still have responsibilities, but man, I feel bad that there's not many people out there that you got to be a special person to try and go online and talk about personal problems. You got to be a special person, right? And I guess I'm the type of person who kind of doesn't care about things. I can kind of dismiss things, but I'm happy you guys have tuned in and commented and posted and pep talks and things like that. You don't get many rah rah people out there trying to edge you on and keep you going. It's just I got some T-shirts I have and jackets stuff with MSA, and I walk through the airport going to New Orleans. Well, the whole airport's with my MSA shirt on. Everybody was looking at it. They don't know what it was, MSA, but they're looking at it. So advocacy is what we need. So I'll probably stop the video right here, but I just want to say thank you guys, and if you have any topics, suggestions, or anything you can think of, throw them my way, and I will show you darn near anything you want to see within reason. I'm not oblivious, right? The more I can show, the more people can see. Just it's tough to have a condition where you know what the end result is, but if I can give people hope, and that's another part too, right? I should have led with this, but I'm a healthy person. I talk about being sick and surgeries and this and that, but I'm 43. I always played sports, baseball, I played basketball, I go walking, I go running, I, whatever. Right? I would go to my kids to jump zone, I think what it was called, sky zone. I'm the only dad out there jumping on these damn trampolines. I'm physically active. Not now. I'm out there. Right? I look at these dads like, wow, y'all look old. You look ran down. Like, can you guys do something with your kids? And they don't. They can't. They're not athletic, or they don't care. One of the two. Right? I'm athletic. I can fake it until I make it. I'm not going to fall. I fall all the time. I'm not going to fall down stairs and kill myself. I'm too good. I'm too athletic. catch myself. I'm not worried about that. I'm not stupid. Okay. And on top of being a man, we do silly things anyway growing up. So, we're kind of used to that stuff. But when people look at me like, wow, you're still working, you're still walking, yeah, I have an athletic background. Dead serious. I fix cars, I do everything. So, you know, it might be a little unfair to compare me to a lot of people with MSA just because I'm younger, 43, and I'm generally active and always have been sports and things like that. So, you know, temper your expectations if you have MSA and you're looking at me, you're like, wow, he's still going. Yeah, push yourself, right? Up until early this year, I was still running at the gym because I had faith that if I fell, I could catch myself without killing myself. I had faith in it. There's not many people with Parkinson's and MSA that's going to go running at the gym on a treadmill. I don't know any. I don't know one. And then again, there's a lot of reasons for that, but push yourself, right? How do you feel? Right? How do you not fall asleep? Well, Adderall, but the only way you can feel better about yourself is by exercise. So get some exercise, try your best, do anything you can, see where it goes. But I appreciate you guys. Again, let me know any comments you have, and I'll definitely answer them as soon as I can. Appreciate you. I'll see you soon. I got a lot more videos I feel like pushing out this week. Have a good one.